be so scared. All I wanted to do was play with you.
And good evening, Australia. Good morning to the UK, depending on where you're watching us from and where you're listening from. Good evening there, Dave. So once again, we'll just turn my phone off a minute or two and wait for everybody to gather. And hopefully everybody remembered, obviously, from the weekend that, we was going to do this today. So hopefully you can all hear us. And we'll just wait and just see, obviously, who comes, because obviously people now know that this isn't a mediumship type of hour, which then obviously, surprises people and go, oh, cool. But but we will be talking about obviously the deeper things with life, because last week we talked about the first insight, and I said that there was 9, but there's 12, but we'll go through the first 9 anyway. So we're just waiting for everybody. It's cool. But as I said, not a problem. There we go. Yes, Cheryl, love the background picture. Yeah, because obviously the gentleman at the weekend, which he had a point, obviously got a bit confused because it was the paranormal setup and not a general type of setup. Anyway, not a problem. So hopefully everybody, because we are streaming obviously through YouTube and here on my page and on the Cornishmedium page. So as I said, we're just now setting everything up and get onto my page as well in a minute. So hopefully everybody's had a really good week this time. Just to catch you up, there is a live investigation this weekend with the Tasmania group with Mick. So their first time on the platform. So hopefully everybody will tune into that one at the weekend. Angela will keep you obviously posted on where and when. It's cool. So now I'm on my page as well, so we can see you all, but obviously I won't be able to answer you all. Not a problem there. Cool. So so hopefully we are cool. I've just cocked it up a minute. So so hopefully everybody basically had a lovely weekend and watched out for those coincidences and those synchronizations that we were all talking about last week. So hopefully everybody's had time, and that's what these type of, hopefully these hours that I spend with you, once again, it's just to make you think. I don't preach, I don't teach, I just give you ideas of what could be possible. Sorry, I just had the bells here, weird. So it's just giving you some idea of what could be possible. So as I said, hopefully you've had a look at your synchronizations and your coincidences to find out why you're here. Or how you've got to where you are. Okay, so you can get, I met, because, my past is obviously, I've been married twice, but my first marriage got me into the healing because my ex-sister-in-law was a healer and she owned a clinic. So that's where I picked up, obviously, all my healing abilities and thoughts. And without that, obviously, I wouldn't be into Reiki, I wouldn't be doing this now. Because my path would have gone somewhere else, and then obviously you link in with an employer that gets you the job that you want, etc. But hopefully you've had a lovely time, to sit back and hi Michelle, because once again I just put these things out there, and it's up to you guys to once believe it or want to look into it, and that's totally up to you. But what we're going to do today is, because I had a discussion about my friend last night, and once again it was the nail, hit the nail on the head is the saying. And that's, he's like, you're talking about high consciousness, aren't you, Des? And I was like, yeah. that's what we're talking about, is higher consciousness. Because you being paranormal investigators, you being investigators, that's what you're dealing with, is somebody's higher consciousness, somebody that used to live on this plane of life and had life, and that's what you're linking in with their energy, which in my head is their consciousness, is their personality, and that is what you're linking in with. So without you vibrating enough to link in with higher consciousness, how are we going to invest the paranormal? How are we going to invest higher consciousness if we ourselves don't vibrate in that plane, in that dimension, in that atmosphere? So once again, hopefully these little jits, will in time sink in, and you'll go, okay, I understand. Dez is a bit crazy, but eventually I'll get it. Because once again, what we talk about on these little lives, hopefully you guys on the other end, again, we know all that already, Dez. Brilliant. If you do, as I said before, great, because that's what we want. But if you're not, do not worry, because it's all out there. It's free and it's easy. So what I'm going to quickly talk about today, and I will have to read a lot because there's loads of big words. I know. I tried to do it last night and I was like, nope. I will struggle tomorrow, this morning or this evening, to get what we need to across. But the first step is, after the coincidence, after the synchronicity, then you become more aware. And hopefully you become more aware of the possibilities of another plane of life, of another experience. And it's called the spiritual design. So this step in your consciousness happens when we look back at our spiritual journey of humanity throughout history. We see that we are in a new phase of human progress. Humanity is now awakening from the materialistic worldview and moving into a new look that recognizes spiritual design. This design rewards an attitude of helping others and making the world a better place. When we adopt this new perspective, our soul dream, our mission comes to us, and we move on towards this destiny by near miraculous intuition and synchronistic flow. Thus we are learning to make our way in the world by finding a spiritual connection and allowing ourselves to be guided. In this way we are discovering a more detailed understanding of how the world generally works. Together with this insight, we can shape another historical era of inspirational life of generations to come. So that's the overview. So now obviously everybody's going to turn off, which is fine. It's recorded, you can always come back. But once again, just think of the intuition and synchronistic flow. Because once again, that's what we're supposed to be aiming for. Following our intuition, then allowing that then to move into the synchronistic flow. And that's a wonderful place. That's a wonderful place to understand, because then you understand that, yes, you have some control, but most of it is what you've thought about, what you've agreed before you come onto this side of life. Okay, and that's when they talk about your spirit goal, your spirit journey. This is what we do. We remind each other on this side of life what we already agreed on the other side. So like me and Angela, she's popped into our lives coincidentally. No, the big S word, yes, because she wanted to do a show and I was told that I was going to do a show. So the universe brought us both together, and we had a choice whether to work with each other or not. And we decided we would follow the synchronicity, follow the consciousness, to wherever it ends. So I don't know if anybody's looked at the book, because basically today's a bit of a history lesson. Okay, because the big thing at this time, and as I tell all my other friends here in the UK, what we've forgotten about is the year 2000. And everybody said, yeah, it's a massive changing point. There's a massive turning point. Year 2000. Da 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 da. But we've forgotten all about that. So let's go back to year 2000. What actually happened? What actually happened was, obviously we came to the end of 2,000 years of history. And what we did in the year 2000 is obviously starting another 1,000 years of history. And you, my friends, we're all here together to see the start of it, to be part of it. And don't run away, because you've all chose to be here. However hard it's going to get, what differences in humanity, in the world, what changes happen, we've all signed up for it. But I just took a couple things of the book, because obviously the author of the book makes it into English, okay? And the second insight puts the current awareness of the longer historical perspective. After all, when the decades of the 90s were over, we'll be finishing not only the 20th century, but a 1,000-year period of history as well. We'll be completing the entire second millennium before the West can understand who we are and what is going to occur next. We must understand what has really been happening during the current 1,000 years of history. So everybody's now freaking out and going, woo, where is Dez going with this one? So if you go back 1,000 years, we have the Romans, we had the medieval, we had obviously the Industrial Revolution, we had the Victorian Age, etc. We're not going to go back there. But the important thing today, or this evening, that I'm trying to put over to you people that are watching, is that our thoughts, the way that we practice religion, the way that we do everything, stems from there. Stems from their beliefs, stems from their understanding. Because what do you see when you look closely at human progress throughout history? I became interested in why people seem to be searching, struggling, reading, and sharing articles and stories online, looking to better their lives and relationships. Why is the world today set up to have immediate access to almost every subject imaginable? What does this mean, and where are we heading? In the book, this chapter is called The Longer Now, and it builds on previous mass consciousness by providing us with a deeper and more meaningful understanding of human history and how it determined our present perspective of reality. By examining the last 1,000 years of civilizations, you can learn the motivation behind our unrelenting drive to create higher standards of living. Our human mission has always been to find practical ways of obtaining access to information for our daily lives. And the insight explains why we became occupied with material security and the comfort in the first place, and how this period was necessary for our spiritual awakening. Once we become to realize this is a natural born and inevitable progress, then we take steps to help the progress along. The awareness of synchronicity and intuition in our lives today represents an awakening from what has been a distraction from the material security and comfort. Father, we've existed on this earthly slumber for centuries. And that may be a big thing at the moment, is we've been materially secure forever. All of my lifetime we've been materially secure and comfortable. Not in 2020. That all changed. Here in the UK, we've got a big power shortage. In Germany, they're restricting energy. They're restricting power. So you can only have your power going into your house for certain times of the day. And perhaps that's what the unrest of humankind is happening. Because that security of having everything that we ever wanted is slowly going away. Call it the reset, call it understanding, whatever you want. But if you look at humankind, yeah, you can't say mankind anymore, sexist, humankind, it's happening everywhere, where this security that we've built up over the last 1,000 years is somewhat fading away. But historically, mankind has been through these periods that are controlled by various beliefs and attitudes. Humanity has had a captivation with discovering all that the world has to offer. This is strong drive all began from having unanswered questions to the true meaning of life, which created a void in our experiences on Earth. Our current view of the world is shaped and influenced by the culture of media, which is a massive thing at the moment with fake news. Because, once again, you go back into even the last 100 years, when media became big, and it has been shaped, because we are shaped with the things that we are told. The things that are put in print. We believe it. Because we are told to. We are asked to. And the insight teaches us to appreciate our ancestors and how those became before us saw the world. And by appreciating this evolution of ideas and faith outlined in the paragraphs below, we can grasp the new levels of consciousness at this present stage. The cooperation with the divine has the potential to advance human development further than it's ever seen before. And you may find it boring, which is fine. But to me, when we're talking about the potential to advance human development, as my mate would say, it's next level shit. Alright? Excuse my language. But it is next level. Advance human development. So we're not talking about development within yourself, within your kids. We're talking about humankind. So let's forget about, obviously, with the paranormal bit and the little ghost that comes into you, stands at your bed at the end of the night and goes, "Ooh, hello," and it says a family member. And this is what we're trying to do with these little short snippets, is to open everybody up to the ideas that what we do, how we do things, will affect the next 1,000 years to come. It will affect your kids' lives. It will affect their kids' lives. It will affect every life. And the resistance came when we lost our faith in the ability of the medieval churchmen to describe our spiritual reality. Every aspect of the medieval world was defined in other worldly terms, which was interpreted by representatives of the church. As the priesthood began to fall into abuse of power and violations of their oath to God and the church, rebellion grew amongst the population. Clubs and fragment groups developed their own interpretation of the scriptures. The rebellion was partly due to the disgust of the actions of the established priesthood, and also because the people felt that they should have access to the scriptures. They wanted to form personal interpretations of their spiritual practice and occurrences without the need of the middleman. And this is what this insight, this idea is all about. And this understanding that what we believe in, what religious understanding that we have, what understanding we have about the paranormal, the spirit world, is defined by other people, defined by history. And once you understand that, that what we understand, what we believe to be true, goes back there. And as the book and as the insight it just said, that the idea is to form personal interpretations and not have the interpretation of the priest, of the vicar, etc. Because we know, and we've read stories, and it's still in the media. I don't say today, but the last couple of years, where the priesthood falls into abuse of power and violations of their oath. So once again, we are just asking, just to think back again, to think back in history and go, okay, I'm a Catholic. Where did that come from? Where did that belief structure, where did that understanding come from? And if obviously a priest sat you down with all the insights, with all the scriptures, and said, there you go, son, make what you wish of it. But they don't. They give you a book of somebody pre-programmed. But once again, it's not preaching, but it's just giving you that idea about, wow, is Dez talking correct? Is he talking some truth? Or is he talking men's testicles? Once again, that's up to you. Up to you to fathom, to think about. But as I said, I read this book when I was 20 and it changed things. I understood every word of it, and I understood where things on this planet were going. And I understood that we was going to be around at the start of something massive. Something so big that our brains, even if we put it all together, wouldn't be able to understand it. Because we're talking about evolution of mankind. There's no ifs and buts. It's happening, and we're all part of it. So as the book says, as we begin to explore the nature of the world, a science developed, resulting in the ever-increasing quest for knowledge and understanding of our universe and all of its properties. Our questions regarding God and the purpose of life had not been answered. So as means of distraction from our insecurity, we sent out investigators to report back on the evidence. And in fact, we created a request for science to study the world around us so that we could identify our spiritual nature. However, scientific findings worked out to disprove the long-held beliefs. For example, the Earth was neither flat or at the center of the universe. Then the Church and its ideas concerning the large spiritual picture came into question. Again, we felt lost and uncertain, which stemmed a deep anxiety. We begin to turn to practice of this observation rather than relying on unborn knowledge and its reasoning. And this is the dawn of the modern age. We eased the human insecurity by preoccupying ourselves with yet another goal, physical progress. We decided to settle on this earth of ours, improving our conditions in the physical world, at least until we uncovered the true spiritual situation. During the Industrial Revolution, we saw major technological gains. reaffirming the mindset of progress. Because once again, being humans, we're progressing. Technology, we've progressed now as far as we can with quantum chips. And once again, they're going to change the world with 5G, once again, in ways that we've never imagined yet. And we preoccupy ourselves by materialistic concerns. We accept the illusion that we've lived in a rational, predictable universe where chance occurrences had no meaning. As mankind progressed, mechanisms and technology led to higher and higher levels of consumerization, thereby leading us away from our age-old quest for spiritual meaning of life. Because even in my time, when I was there in the 70s and the 80s, there's massive, John Lennon obviously got shot, but there's, people that was talking about the meaning of life. But they've been silenced now because of the technology and the higher consumerism that the companies need to make the globe work. But we know, especially in the UK, and it will be over in Australia in hopefully years to come, but maybe months, where the levels of consumerism will go down because we won't have the money to spend on things. So you can see where we're going. It's massively deep. I do freak you out being a Wednesday afternoon and it's only now 8:30 in Adelaide, and we're talking about humanity and how we can change things, and everyone's like, I should have had a whiskey instead of a can of beer, Des. But in the decades of our century, led by science itself, this former worldview, empty of spiritual mystery, began to dissolve, and now we find ourselves at this very moment we are open to a new way of learning and perhaps developing. The time spent exploring and our world has been not time wasted. The evolution of our thought process and brain capacity through experimentation and invention. While this technological preoccupation was an important step, our awakening to life's coincidences opens us up to the real purpose of human life on this planet and the real nature of the universe. So once again, it's, just telling us that, yes, that happened, and it had to happen the last 1,000 years, and it's happened in the correct way, where people will look back and go, if it happened that way, if World War II didn't happen, etc., things would change. But no, we've just got to understand now, in 2022, what may be happening, or what may not be happening. And once again, it's your choice. But we can understand where we are and what is going to occur next. We must understand what has been really happening during the current 1,000-year period. Working with established and more comfortable style of survival is growing to feel complete in and of itself as a reason to live, and we gradually, methodically forgotten our original issue. We've forgotten that we still don't know what we're surviving for. It's now time to wake up from the distraction and reconsider our original question. What's behind life on this planet? Why are we really here? We grasp the insight, and then we understand the historical momentum leading us to our new mysterious spiritual life design. So once again, I don't mean to spin you all out this evening, because once again, I was saying it's a deep conversation, and now we're going even deeper. Because once again, if you're into the paranormal, if you're investigating, And if you're not asking yourself that question, what is behind life on this planet? Why are we really here? If you're not asking those questions privately to yourself, then investigating isn't for you. Because proving the paranormal, and if you don't need to have this understanding about a spiritual life design, about the spiritual side, a paranormal side, when you find it, it's going to screw you up. And this is what I teach, telling my dear friends. As in, we have to have that general grounding, that general understanding about how the universe works and why we're all here. And you can make up your own opinion on why we're here, because I'm not here to tell you. Because we're all here for a different purpose. But hello Megan, hello Cheryl, hello Lana. Thank you for staying with me. The people that are, because as I said, I know when people click in and go, yeah, let's have a reading days, and then he talks about mankind and humanity, and then it's like, woo, let's curveball and see somebody else, which is totally fine. Because once again, I said at the weekend, the people that are watching are ready to hear this, and the people that aren't will be ready, but in 6 or 12 months' time. Then you can go, I know all about that, coincidences, yeah, etc. But once again, we can start now, because the insight teaches us that we should live our beliefs rather than talk about them. And Angela knows me now for a couple of years, and the people that follow me, the people that do, and know me well. That's one of my golden sentences. And my grandfather would tell me, because he used to be a preacher, my father was a preacher, my brother's a reverend. Okay, so I know all the history about religion. It's been in my life in my family for generations. And my granddad would always say, whatever you preach on the Sunday, son, you live Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and the next Sunday. And perhaps that is the awakening, that's the energy shift. That instead of talking about things, about our beliefs and our understanding, perhaps now, the big energy reawakening shift, is to live that belief structure. And then you go on, I can link in then about, why I'm a big believer. And as I said, I go back to the paranormal, go back to the spiritual world. If you don't walk side by side with that dimension, you're never going to be able to flip in and cross over. And that's why I did a thing years ago, type of same hour things, years ago, and it's a walk with spirit, walk with them. And when you walk with them, they'll show themselves. And once again, you've been investigators, that's, you may go, no days, I spent £100 on a machine, that'll tell me if there's something in the room. Large testicles, it will. So I was going to use the B word, but no, large men's testicles, you all know what I mean. Yes, that machine will pick up if something's moved. Won't say what. Because once again, we all know frequencies, and we all know there's trillions. I won't say trillions, that's the word, but it is. Because we are talking about numbers which you could never understand and never get in our head how big, the universe, how big where we live is. And there's, thousands upon thousands of different frequencies. But as you all know, the people that follow me, I want you to be that machine. I want you to be that £100 machine. So you can walk into any room and be aware. And why? Because you're understanding, you're vibrating higher. and then they can come and link. A mediumship and working with the paranormal, it's not bloody hard. Just understanding. But these beliefs are communicated by actions that we take in our own lives. We can begin to take time to pay attention to the present moment and the people that are in it by taking deep breaths and having the intention to focus on the way our body feels, the sounds of our environment, the engaging in the longer now. We can appreciate the fullness of each moment. This daily practice can affect our existence, whereby coincidences start to provide subtle signs of guidance. And now observe culture, not just from the perspective of your own lifetimes, but the perspective of the whole millennium. It reveals our true problem to us, that we can be lifted above it. You have just experienced this longer history. Now you can live the longer now. Together with this insight, we can shape another historical era of inspirational life for generations to come. So once again, sorry for going deep. I do apologise. But to me, it's that important. To do with you personally and the work that you do. Because once again, if you know it all, if you understand it all, then then your work, then your practices will be phenomenal. Will be phenomenal because you'll be doing it, once again for the right reasons. And learning for the right reasons. And as I said, and it's a big thing, and I go on about it to all my friends over here in the UK, because once again, it wasn't until I went back to this, because I was like, yeah, well, we did, bits about the journey of the soul, which we'll pick up, and I was like, no, this was a lovely book. And as I said, it's Celestine Prophecy. I'm not going to sell it. I'm not going to put it. It's only £6. It's 50 years old book. It's one of the best sellers ever. So I normally have lots of copies, and I normally give it to people, because I'm a very big believer, as if you've got information, you've got knowledge, you share it. Okay, so if I got anything that I believe that you need to know, or that will aid your life and help your family, while we're all here on this side, then I'll pass it to you, and then you can either chuck it away or go, okay, I can understand a bit like this, let's go for it. Because once again, we're not here to tell you what to do, how to do things. Just hopefully tell you that you can change your mind, you can change your thought process. Because that process is 1,000 years old. And it is a case of, being part of things. And as I said, we're all meeting here, meeting in Australia, meeting in the UK, meeting, midweek, at the weekend, and obviously the Paranormal Night Watchers do a thing on a Tuesday night, so we're all talking about, a different dimension, a different plane, a different way of life, because, not everybody is a paranormal investigator. You've chosen that hobby, that pastime, for a reason, Is it because you're asking yourself those questions like, why are we really here? And if it is, brilliant. Because I had a chat with a dear friend of mine last night, and I was saying, and I've been told this many, 30, 40 years, that we're always asking the wrong questions. So at the moment we're just asking, is my car got an MOT? Am I working tomorrow? Have I got enough money in the bank? And our thought process, our patterns have shrunk to think about materialistic things, physical things. So the question, as I said to my friend, is, why aren't we being allowed to discuss this? Why is this kept away from us? Then if you're into conspiracies, that's your open door. You know, why isn't this being taught in school? Who's not doing this? Powers to be. But then you being parents can go, Dez is a crazy effing dude, but he's got some understanding, some thought. I can then pass that on to my children. So once again, we're not talking about our generation. I mean, I'm 51. Half the people that are here may be under the age of 30. You know, there's 20 years difference. You know, so there's a generation already. So I'm talking about your kids. So in theory, we're already talking about 60, 70, 80 years of history that we have to change. You know, and if you're not investigating to find proof of the other dimension, you know, and with that proof, putting it out there and go, no, these entities, these higher consciousnesses, these personalities do actually exist. And once again, this is what we're all here for. You know, to have that little gem of a proof, you know, that they do happen, you know, that they do come across, that our loved ones are okay. You know, that, yes, people do get stuck. Consciousnesses do get stuck, you know, in the in-between bit when they miss their boat, you know, and that's the ones that you help. And that's what you've got to understand. It's not a person, it's a consciousness. It's an energy that knows more than us humans will ever. Because obviously we don't know what that entity knows until we go to the other side. And then we'll go to the other side and go, they know all this shit. No wonder when I was investigating on the Earth plane, I didn't get any results. You know? Because once again, if they don't like you, they're not going to work with you. You know? There's always chain of thoughts as well. So we're coming up to the 1:15. There go. I've been here. I've swapped you. Okay, live chat wasn't working. Yeah, sorry, Kerry. Yeah, I was. Yeah, because I'm on my own. You see, I've only got the one screen. Normally, you know, and my guide's here saying just rabbit. There's not rabbit, but chat. But once again, Sherry represented his number. I see a lot of them 1111. Yeah, well, once again. Don't look into things too much. Once again, we do talk about synchronicities and coincidences. So if you are seeing a lot of 11111111s, then you know perhaps that may be a phone number or a house number that you'll go into, you know, and then you'll be going shit 1111. We do not know until that synchronicity clicks in. All right. So hopefully by next week, Cheryl, you can come back to the group and go, shit, man, I know all the numbers, all the ones that I was seeing was about. Okay, it could mean that, you know, a member of your family is going to get first prize in something, you know, but unless anybody else in the group has a understanding, but I am a great believer. If you look too much into things and ask, as I said, the wrong questions, you just get rubbish back, you know. So, but I mean, there isn't people that disrespecting them that spend hours in numerology. You know, so I know that there is a school of thought. You know that when you see numbers, they do mean something. But once again, I'm just trying to step over that, if you can understand, Cheryl, and get you to understand without seeing the numbers. Yeah? So you have those thoughts. You awaken yourself to allow these thoughts to come in. So, brilliant. They're using numbers to get you to look, to get you to ask that question, which is brilliant. Thank you for asking it, because that's telling me that you're looking for these coincidences and synchronicities. Now you've got to be aware that now you've noticed that, Just notice the flow and where it leads you. And then please come back and tell us, because then we go 111, yeah, that, you know. Because once again, synchronicity, it will all work. But thank you, and I love it that you are looking out for these things, because this is what we have to do. Not anally, you know, and become, you know, anxious about these things. Please do not do that, because that's happened before. You know, and perhaps people may know people that become anxious and not go out the house because it's not raining. You know, or there's a red car outside the door, and you know they're allergic to or whatever. You know, please do not go into this to that extent, because it will make you mentally insane. We do not want that, because we want you to be loving souls. All right, and I don't want no lawsuit in 2 years' time going, yeah, I listened to what Dez was saying, yeah, and it triggered something, and now I'm in an institution. Please don't allow that to happen, because what we'll be talking about obviously next, and as I said, hopefully, you know, people will understand. Obviously, people are coming back, which is brilliant, because once again, we just do this for you. You know, I believe and live by this stuff, you know, and that's why it frustrates me that this stuff isn't taught in school, isn't taught to children. Because just think, take a step back. If you've all got kids, I won't say you've all got kids, but the people that have, just think if they was growing up into this type of world, into this understanding about helping people, about karma, you know, because once again, that's an Eastern philosophy, and we all believe in that. What goes around comes around, and that's helping others and making the world a better place, isn't it? Surely. And I know that you teach your kids, you ask them to be polite, you ask them to have manners. But when they're old enough, when you think that it's time, then now you can explain why they should be nice, why, you know, they should respect their elders, why they should respect each other. And you know, for schools and you know the churches, because obviously, you know, a lot of us probably went to Sunday school and stuff, you know, Catholic background, not me, Methodist, but you know what I mean. So we've all had this type of weird understanding, but not being able to understand it, if you can understand. But teaching your kids, your children, the next generation. Once again, perhaps that is the start of the next 1,000 years. And you thought that the Spirit Crew and myself and Angela, we were just interested in the paranormal and just going into a weird dark room, and sticking down machines. No. We are, but me personally, I'm also interested in you being a spiritual person, a spiritual being. And if you follow me on Facebook, Cornishmedium, I put a lot of memes up this week about energy, you know, and about two people, like, you know, vibrating energy and saying that's what we are, that's what I see. And this is what we want to get everybody into, or you know, working towards, seeing that for yourself and becoming part of that vibrating energy, that collective mass. And you never know, in 100 years' time, somebody may be digging out these tapes and going, oh, there's an old Cornish guy used to talk about it 100 years ago with David Icke and stuff. Because David Icke, you know, here in the UK, has been talking about this for 30 years. You know, he was talking about it the same time that he did. But he was into his coincidences and synchronicities. Obviously put him in a position of power, because he used to be a newsreader and used to work on the TV. So synchronicities made him have those links, so he could talk and get out on the TV and stuff. But just think, if we can do anything, for humanity, the next generation, and i.e. your kids, then we'll be doing our bit. So it is now coming up 50 minutes. I'm not going to waste it. Yeah, schools haven't changed much since the original beginnings. Child labour laws have been a certain age and put them into school. Yeah, I have been there, Des. Swapped our YouTube. Yeah. Have you heard of space in a room being stretched for a better time? Yes. Yeah. Well, yeah. As in Kerry, I do understand that, but it's it's just space. That word space, because there is no time in space. But I know it's a human term, so you have to use that. But then I would be then talking about fifth dimensional stuff, because obviously we know that we live in a 2D world. I know you're going to say it's a 3D world, but our mind, just what is in front of us, but it can work out that there is a field of depth, and then you go into 4D, which is, was it, they say time space, but you can look it up. I'm not going, because I'm not going to but yes, and basically you can stretch time by altering. I mean, what we do when we go into trance is obviously we come out. My consciousness comes out of myself and enters in a world of no space and no time. So then, when you come back into yourself, it's the same minute as when you left, and that's when you hear trance mediums go, "Oh, how long have I been under?" And they go, "Oh, you've been gone for a half hour," and they go, "Oh, bloody hell." Because you enter into a time, obviously, of no time and space. But I have heard of, obviously, the scientists, which we go in about the last 1,000 years, have been trying to, prove, that you can, stretch time, and then you get into time travel, and then you get into like the universe. Because it was looking about it the other day with quantum physics, because you're going into that field. But it's good that you brought quantum physics up and stretching time, because I haven't paid Kerry, but that leads us lovely into next week. If anybody is still gonna, why my microphone keeps coming down, because next week is the giving, okay, the karmic design. So this is what we were talking about earlier about karma, and then once again, it just talks about when we realize the universe is not dead, on-caring place. It is an energetical connection environment that is spiritually constructed to bring our greatest dreams into fruition. And all we have to do is to align our lives with the universal's ruling of giving. And then it goes on about, obviously, quantum physics and etc. about that's the more improving this way. But we'll go back karma. So we will be talking about karma next week, which will be good, as I said, because I don't look week for week, but hopefully then this may Kerry, it may help you a bit. But yeah, well, if it's something that you've experienced, obviously PM me Cornishmedium, or obviously leave something up on the Spirit Crew page. Myself and Angela will get back. But as I said, when you're talking about time and space being stretched, you're talking about quantum physics, and I love quantum physics because the scientists, in my view, so don't sue me afterwards, in my view, and you'll find it if you actually look into quantum physics, if they can understand anything in the science world, they'll all put it down to quantum. because quantum is once again a terminology of things that are so small that that they can't explain and they can't prove. So it's quantum. But we all know, hopefully, that souls that we investigate, us, that we look at every single day, we vibrate. We vibrate. And hopefully this obviously the third is, because within the book is really good because it's an adventure book, and cut long story short, he goes up into the mountains, into a monastery, and then he obviously tunes into how the world actually is. And we can all do it. All we need to do is obviously go outside, into the forests, into nature, and just stare at plants. It's a bit weird at first, but then you can see their auras, and this is where we get into auras and energy, etc., which is another rabbit hole which we will go down at some point. But we can all do that. Even if you're in the back garden and you have a rose, just look at it and just allow your mind, your eyes, to get larger and open up. And the more you're open, the more the universe will give you insight and information. So what we're going to do is obviously leave it now, because it's now coming up 3 minutes to the hour. So I won't promise, but I will try my hardest to be back next Wednesday personally, because I've got a job or two to go, but I'll try to get Wednesdays or whatever off. What we do know is obviously that there is an investigation at the weekend, and hopefully it will be going through obviously the Spirit Crew page. Hopefully I will get a note from Angela to say can I stream it, or can I get involved? If so, brilliant, you will see me. If not, because obviously they are in Tasmania, so we shall see. They may be fine by themselves. So if that is the case, then there will be a live stream. And I know, please, as I said, Paranormal Night Watches as well, which is another big group that we're involved in. Please link up. Pete and Dan I don't know if they are investigating this weekend, but just look on their page as well. You never know. But we'll be definitely doing one from the Spirit Crew, and just watch out for next week. But once again, it's coincidences and synchronicities, and then just changing the way that we think, and just sitting back and going, actually, who told me about the devil? Who told me? How have I learned about this negative energy, evilness? And then you can look back and go, oh, yeah, my dad used to point at me and go, if you don't eat all your sprites, mate, the devil's going to come up and eat you, or what have you. Could be as simple as that. And then you're like, shit, yeah. That's why I think the devil's bad. But, as I said, that is your choice. And if you believe that, that is totally fine. We will leave that with you, But please think about the last 1,000 years, and please think about the next 1,000 to come. Because we're only 22 years into it. Okay? And humankind, they're going to be around for another billion, well, I won't say a billion or 2 years, but there's going to be some type of life on this planet in many, many years to come. So if we can be part of the way that they think, the way that they act, we've been doing alright. So, as I love you and leave you, have a lovely week. Thank you for joining me. And hopefully see you at the weekend.
Why do you seem so scared? All I wanted to do was play with you.